There is an overwhelming consensus of research that most of us believe that we are not alone in the universe. Millions of reports from around the world of people claiming to be abducted by aliens. If these reports are true, the implications are staggering.
The issue of UFOs, and you just go, ha, and you don't even pay attention to it. You'll never know what's going on in this world because you just threw out a big piece of the puzzle.
For thousands of years, the alien abduction phenomenon has been a mystery. Until now.
There are dark elements out there, dark entities out there that want to get it our way.
What is the U.S. government hiding from us? Leading up to 2017, there are more reports of UFO sightings than any time in history.
This experience has affected me so profoundly that it's impossible to even calculate who I would have become and what I would have been.
In this presentation, you will hear from actual eyewitnesses who's experienced alien craft and beings not of this world. Experts will share their experience in regards to the alien abduction phenomenon. An array of incredible UFO videos shot by the public. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be abducted by an alien? You have arrived.
If you had asked me if I believe in aliens, I would have thought you were nuts. But from what I can tell, after my experience 5 years ago, I can tell you now that I believe we are not alone. It was a typical day at work, things were going good in my life, and I was building my new home. And I was off to the hardware store to get some supplies. Then a few minutes into the drive, the civil defense said there was a storm approaching, but I needed things done on the home, and I didn't have any time to spare, so I decided to head out anyway. It was a bad mistake on my part. I found myself in a dangerous situation. The rain was coming down about 3 to 5 inches an hour. Then suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a bright light just above the trees. I looked directly at it, and then it took off and disappeared. I continued on to the hardware store. Weather got worse. I suddenly found myself hydroplaning out of control and drove off the road and hit a wall head on at 55 miles an hour. In a flash, I found myself in a place that was very unfamiliar to me. Was I dead? A low hum and a vibration of my body that I've never felt before. There were strange lights within the room. I couldn't see corners or walls that connected. Then out of the light, a gray being about 4 feet tall with long arms and large black eyes with a strange, abnormal large head approached me. A device was in his hand. I started to feel frightened, but I heard a voice in my head as though the being was communicating with me. Be calm, trust us. At that point, I felt very sleepy. As the being approached me, things started to become blurry. I really didn't know what happened next. A few moments later, I suddenly found myself standing next to my wrecked car, and it was destroyed, and things were very strange around me. The environment seemed electrified. It felt like I was traveling in reverse. It's hard to explain. My head began to clear and I realized what I was looking at was a miracle. How could I have survived this car wreck? It was totaled. There was not a scratch on my body. I had no injuries. Something otherworldly saved my life. I couldn't tell you for a fact with any certainty that the alien had saved my life that day, or maybe I received a concussion and I imagined the whole thing. But I can tell you that from my point of view, there was an intervention not of this planet. And to this day, I feel grateful for the experience that I had. My life has never been the same again. Now the way I perceive our Earth and the existence of alien beings makes me feel comfortable that we live in a universe that has compassion for life.
Now, 2018 starts out with an amazing scientific announcement. DNA results from the ancient elongated skulls of Peru show genetic differences which may conflict with modern human beings. Dr. L.A. Marzulli, along with a team of scientists, share this incredible find and the discovery behind the DNA of the mysterious skulls of Peru. Also, team researcher and Brian Forrester, along with Richard Shaw, document their findings.
The bottom line is the Nephilim are the product or the progeny of a off-world interdimensional entity. Most people would call that a fallen angel, a nefarious interdimensional entity. So for the sake of argument and the sake of drawing you into the conversation, let's call it a nefarious interdimensional entity cohabits, has sex with a woman of Earth, creating a hybrid being known as the Nephilim. It's in Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6, and then further on. The deeper you go down the Nephilim rabbit hole, the stranger and more bizarre it gets. What's even more mysterious, these civilizations vanish. They just vanish. And we see it over and over and over and over again.
From today's DNA results, it indicates that these people were, we can say they were not 100% Native American. Could be that they weren't Native American at all. They died out 2,000 years ago, so that's 1,500 years before Columbus discovered America. They were tall, probably light-skinned, red-haired, and had very large elongated heads. And from what the DNA is indicating, they originated thousands of miles away. I think probably somewhere in the Middle East or in between the Caspian and Black Seas. The idea is that they were actually indigenous to one of those areas and they were forced out by an invading people. So they took to the ocean and they sailed eastwards over the course of hundreds of years until they finally made, I think, the coast of Peru. And they are a very complicated genetic mix. Also their blood types are very complicated, much more complicated than they should be if they were simply Native American people. So they're an enigma that academics have ignored, and now we are bringing them virtually back to life.
The structural differences which we think make these skulls extremely unique, and we maintain, or at least we posit, that we're looking at something that may be genetic. We think that what we're looking at is genetic. This is our, still, is it conclusive? Can I say that it's genetic without a doubt? No, I can't, which is why more testing needs to be done. But so far the evidence is pointing to genetic aberrations, and for that we are really excited. Where does the technology, the mathematics, the building engineering, the infrastructure to create something like this? And no one really knows. Life here on this planet is very, very new. I do not believe we were seeded here. I believe we were created. It shows us that we're in a cosmic war between a nefarious interdimensional entity, which is creating hybrid beings, and we're going to see these. Jumping into modernity, nothing has changed. I've got stories of people that have had encounters with hybrids, and I've made films on this. So it's real. Okay. I know people will just roll their eyes and say it's not. How do you know? The data will speak for itself, and that's why we made no conclusions. We didn't talk about Nephilim or anything else. We just said, this is the data. Something's going on here. What we find interesting is, according to the narratives, the historic narratives, there was a group or groupings of different peoples in this land.
The findings and research was done in conjunction with the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. A scientific explanation and understandings to these mysterious elongated skulls is groundbreaking information, especially considering the recent buzz surrounding unexplained UFO activity. Is there a new being of humans amongst us?